In 1492, Christopher Columbus set sail across the Atlantic, backed by the Spanish crown, chasing dreams of new trade routes, gold, and imperial glory. But what if the winds had shifted? What if the sea, vast and unforgiving, had turned him back? In this alternate timeline, a violent storm brews just days into the voyage. Supplies dwindle. The crew, restless and afraid, begins to mutiny. With no land in sight, and no promise of riches ahead, Columbus yields. He turns the ships homeward, battered and defeated. He never touches the shores of the Americas. And as a result, history fractures. There is no first contact, no Columbian Exchange, no conquest of Tenochtitlan. Continents of the Western Hemisphere remain undisturbed, untouched by European boots for decades, even centuries. And in this stillness, civilizations flourish. The Aztecs refine their astronomical calendars and engineer new floating cities across Lake Texcoco. Elaborate temples rise, not in ruins but in glory, their rituals intact, their people resilient. The empire expands southward, forging alliances and subduing enemies not with European weapons, but through strategic marriages and tribute. The Inca, stretching their empire along the spine of the Andes, continue to innovate. Suspension bridges span vast canyons, and terraced farms feed a growing population. With no disease to devastate them, their society deepens its infrastructure, developing a proto-industrial model based on labor taxation and road networks. The Maya, long thought fated by later Europeans, remain alive in this world. City-states thrive in the jungles of the Yucatan, trading jade, cacao, and knowledge. Their mathematical insights grow more complex. Astronomy aligns with governance. Their hieroglyphs evolve into a widely adopted written language that spreads across Mesoamerica. With time, these civilizations make contact with one another, not through conquest, but curiosity. Trade networks form across the continents. Ideas, technologies, and stories are exchanged. In the north, the Mississippian cultures at Cahokia build higher mounds, expand their urban planning, and create alliances across what we now call the Midwest. Perhaps one day, these indigenous powers develop ships of their own. They do not sail in desperation but in confidence, crossing the Atlantic west to east, bringing maize, rubber, and philosophy to Europe, reshaping global history on their terms. Europe without the Americas is poorer, hungrier, and less dominant. The Spanish Empire never rises to global supremacy. Without the flood of silver from Potosi and the gold of Mexico, Spain remains a regional power, plagued by debt and internal conflict. The great colonial powers have nowhere to turn. The Portuguese cling to their African and Indian Ocean routes, but profits are modest. Britain, France, and the Dutch Republic remain focused on internal politics and European rivalry. Without New World crops like the potato, tomato, corn, and chili, Europe's agricultural revolution is delayed. Famines stretch longer. Populations grow more slowly. The diet remains bland, monotonous, and nutritionally limited. With no colonial outlet, Europe's tensions turn inward. Religious wars deepen. The 30 Years' War may last longer, or break earlier under different pressures. National borders calcify. The Ottoman Empire, emboldened by Europe's stagnation, pushes further into the Balkans and Central Europe. Russia, less threatened from the West, expands earlier into Siberia and Central Asia. And across the vastness of Eurasia, Ming China thrives, its trade routes remain secure, its fleets never dismantled. Without the West to interrupt, China maintains cultural dominance across East Asia, influencing Korea, Japan, and Southeast Asia on a larger scale. The United States of America? It never exists. No declaration of independence, no civil war, no manifest destiny, no superpower. North America remains under the stewardship of indigenous nations. Over time, federations form, perhaps a union of Iroquois-descended city-states or a Mississippian League, stretching from the Gulf to the Great Lakes. Without American innovation and industry, the 19th century takes a different shape. Industrial power shifts to other centers. Berlin, Tokyo, or even a united Indian subcontinent may rise to prominence. Japan, unthreatened by American fleets, charts its own path to modernization, perhaps trading with Mesoamerican nations. And then come the wars. Without the US to tip the scales, World War I may end differently. A prolonged stalemate? A German victory? A fragmented Europe in the aftermath? World War II might not happen, or might be worse. With no American intervention, fascist regimes could dominate longer. Hitler may face Britain alone, or he may ally with a resurgent Russia. Without the Manhattan Project, nuclear weapons could emerge later, or under different, more dangerous hands. There is no Hollywood, no jazz, no Silicon Valley, no iPhones, no fast food. Global culture flows from other springs. Paris becomes the cultural capital of cinema. Tokyo defines pop music. Berlin leads in technology. Indigenous art from the Americas takes its place in the global canon, no longer labeled primitive, but celebrated as visionary. English may never become the global lingua franca. Instead, French, Mandarin, Arabic, or Nahuatl might dominate international discourse. The internet is slower to emerge, or follows a different architecture. It may be state-run from Berlin, open-sourced from Kyoto, or built on indigenous values of connectivity and oral storytelling, digitized in an entirely different paradigm. And today, this Earth is unrecognizable. A world where native civilizations write their own future, where the great colonial empires never crossed the Atlantic. One decision, one storm, one moment of doubt, and the world we know never happens. This is history's fork, where one small turn changes everything.